Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So 32-year-old Texas resident and Marine veteran Ryan Nichols planned for violence on January 6th. Nichols called for war. He talked about pushing people out of the country, quote, by force. He also said that people who voted for Biden were traitors, and he said he planned to, quote, fight if the vice president didn't block the certification of the vote. Now, what's really funny is he actually complained about the, quote, domestic terrorism currently plaguing our country. And in the same Facebook post that was written on December 14th of 2020, Nichols wrote, quote, if you won't hear us in court peacefully, then you'll hear us in the streets non-peacefully. The patriots are giving you a chance to do it correctly. If you don't, we will do it ourselves. Irony is completely lost on these people. So anyway, in December of 2020, right before Christmas, December 24th, Nichols posted and said, quote, it'll be fixed January 6th, or the patriots will fix it ourselves. When the patriots move to fix it, we're bringing the wrath of God, and there's not a fucking thing you can do to stop it. Now, along with that post, Nichols shared a photo of a bullet, and it was captioned, by bullet or ballot, restoration of the republic is coming. So Nichols continued with posts like this, kept talking about fighting and war, and Nichols said similar things in private messages to a friend, this friend that traveled with him to DC. It was a guy named Alex Harkrider. So on January 1st, Nichols texted Harkrider, and he sent him a website link for body armor, and he told him that they would need to take first aid kits and tourniquets. And then Nichols also told Harkrider he needed to speak with him in person because they needed to put a game plan together. And he said, quote, what I'm about to relay can't be done over the phone. Then on January 3rd, though, Nichols continued to text and plan on their phones. He told Harkrider that DC was going to be a war zone and that he and his dad had built a gun container inside of his truck. Nichols went on to say, quote, I know how to get guns legally into DC now. And he asked Harkrider if he had, quote, any 10-round mags for an AR. And then the prosecutor says they each took 2 guns to DC, so they did take weapons. They arrived in DC the night before the Capitol attack, and Nichols was out on the street, and he was recorded. He was, with the Proud Boys. Everybody was out there waiting, looking for a fight, and he was recorded saying, quote, cops don't know what's going on. Too many of us, not enough of them. And then he later yelled to someone, quote, those people in fucking Capitol building are our enemy. And Nichols yelled at the police, quote, you can't stop what's coming tomorrow. He also yelled, quote, hey, you all start spraying me. I'm going to start whooping ass around here. And then he warned the officers that he and the rest of Trump's mob no longer had their backs. And, quote, you better have our back or we're gonna fucking show you. Heads will fucking roll. We will not be told no any longer. So on January 6th, Nichols was seen wearing tactical gear. He had on body armor and a vest with a ballistic plate inside of it. He was carrying a crowbar. And as Nichols marched to the Capitol, he recorded this very lengthy video of himself. It was 18 minutes of him shouting, threatening that if the vice president, quote, caved, we're gonna drag motherfuckers through the streets. So he blathered on and on about a second revolution, about taking back the country. And when one of his friends yelled about, or that friend that he went with yelled about cutting off politicians' heads, Nichols agreed with him and he yelled, quote, "Cut their heads off." So Nichols went on to say he was there to fight. And he said, he repeated over and over again, lock and load several times. And then when he reached the Capitol, he headed straight to the lower West Terrace tunnel. They say he lowered his shoulder and his head, and he joined in the push against the police. Eventually the police pushed Nichols and the others back to the mouth of the tunnel. And then that's when Nichols motioned to someone to pass him this big canister of chemicals. It belonged to the police, but someone in the mob had stolen it from the police. So Nichols motioned to the guy, "Give it to me." And then he held it high up in the air so that it would go over the police officers' shields so that it would hit them. And he sprayed the police with it. They said he moved the canister from left to right so that he would hit as many officers as possible. And the prosecutor said that simultaneously as he's spraying the police, the mob was engaged in another heave-ho push against the police. And so the officers were trying to fight off these other assaults while they're being sprayed with pepper spray. So sometime later, Nichols made his way over to the large arched window that you guys have probably seen in photos and videos. It was on the side of the tunnel. And other people in the mob had broken a window. There were several different panes. So Nichols was one of the first people to climb through that broken pane and get into the Capitol that way. He then exited. They said he crawled to the edge of another window and he started yelling to the mob through the bullhorn, quote, "Get in the building, get in the building. This is your country. We will not be told no. Get in there." And then he said, quote, "This is the second revolution right here, folks." And quote, "This is not a peaceful protest." Then Nichols went on to scream, quote, "If you have a weapon, you need to get your weapon. If you have a weapon, you need to get your weapon." And quote, "If you are prepared to fight, you need to get your weapon." So Nichols left the Capitol a while after that, but he continued to call for violence on social media that same night. In another lengthy video, he confessed to his crimes, and he said in part, quote, "We stormed the Capitol building and they stopped the vote." Quote, "We clashed with Capitol Police," and quote, "I fought, I stormed up there against police and I pushed them back." Then he also said, quote, "Ryan Nichols stands for violence. Ryan Nichols is going to bring violence." And quote, "Yes, I'm calling for violence and I will be violent because I've been peaceful and my voice hasn't been heard. I've been peaceful and my vote doesn't count. I've been peaceful and the courts won't hear me. So you're fucking right. I'm going to be violent now. And I'm here in Washington, D.C., and it just got started. We shut down the vote today because those coward-ass politicians ran into the tunnels when we stormed the Capitol. I was inside the Capitol today. I was in the Capitol building. I've got pictures from inside and videos from inside the Capitol building. So the following day, Nichols had a private Facebook conversation with someone, and he said that they needed to, quote, "get organized and regroup." And he specifically mentioned for January 20th, which of course was the inauguration. And he said that he was, quote, "recruiting more patriots." Then Nichols proceeded to try and delete all evidence of his crimes. He deleted Facebook posts and messages, all of his text messages with Harkrider, and Nichols advised Harkrider he should do the same. And then Nichols also got rid of everything he was wearing on the 6th and the crowbar he was carrying. So Nichols was arrested on January 18th of 2021, and in a superseding indictment, he was charged with civil disorder, obstructing an official proceeding, assaulting officers with a dangerous weapon, entering a restricted building or grounds with a deadly or dangerous weapon, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, one of which included a deadly or dangerous weapon enhancement, physical violence on Capitol grounds, and parading or demonstrating in the Capitol. In November of 2023, Nichols pleaded guilty to the obstruction charge and the assaulting officers charge, but he did not plead. They didn't require that he plea to the deadly or dangerous weapon enhancement. Still, though, he was looking at up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. Now, the government requested a sentence of 83 months in prison, 3 years of probation, $2,000 in restitution, and a fine of some sort. They didn't specify. They just said, we want a fine. And Nichols appears to have a penchant for violence because in 2019, he accepted a plea deal for assault causing bodily injury. And then since he's been on pretrial detention in this case, he was involved in another physical altercation in jail. So that was in 2022. Couldn't even keep it together in jail. I should note, too, in a 2021 interview with the FBI, Nichols claimed that he no longer trusted Trump and his allies because he said, I think they misled me. I think they led me in the wrong direction. And at his sentencing hearing, Nichols apologized to the, quote, victims of January 6th, like people, like members of Congress, police officers, D.C. residents, he mentioned. And he told the judge, quote, my actions and words that day were heinous, disgusting, and awful. End quote. I went absolutely crazy. The Nichols claimed that he had stopped taking his PTSD meds, and that's why he was acting the way he did. He said it made him act irrationally, but he said, quote, I'm no longer a danger to society. I'm on my meds and will never be off of them again. I know what I said, but I want to assure you I do not stand for violence. So U.S. District Judge Royce Lamberth presided over Nichols' case, and he told him, quote, you appear to be sincere in your expressions of regret today, but the court has not had great success in determining the sincerity of January 6 defendants. And the judge also pointed out that Nichols made, quote, very rigorous comments about future violence. And in the end, he sentenced Nichols to 63 months in prison, 3 years of probation, a $2,000 restitution fee, and a fine of $200,000. So that is, by orders of magnitude, that is more than double the largest fine to date of all January 6 defendants I've covered. The judge said he ordered that massive fine because Nichols has been refusing to cooperate with the pre-sentencing review. So they had no idea how much, if any, that, Nichols could pay. They have no idea about his financial means. But Nichols' family had raised $235,000 on Give, Send, Go since 2021. Now, here's what I don't get. You get a guy like John Sullivan who gets 6 years from this same judge when he was not violent. He yelled to the mob, he encouraged the mob, incited the mob, but he didn't touch the police. Yet Nichols was violent. He sprayed the police with chemicals. He was calling for violence specifically against very specific people before and after the Capitol attack, right? Saying there are enemies, that, we're going to drag them through the streets. He gets 5 years and 3 months, and Sullivan gets 6 years. Just make it make sense. That's all I ask. If Sullivan deserves 6 years, then this guy should have gotten 7, 8, 10, right? Like I said, same judge, huge disparity in treatment. So I'll let you figure out what the difference is. One of these things is not like the other. All right, I will let you know when I hear more. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.